Is the funeral over? Hurry back home. Today is Eliza's birthday party, so get ready, my beloved daughter. Shell had passed away only at the age of 5. This was said to me by my mother-in-law, Laurie, on the day of my final farewell to Shelley. She didn't attend her own granddaughter's funeral, and instead asked me to come back for her sister-in-law Eliza's birthday party. I wondered if she had lost her mind. Anger overcame my grief, and I made a phone call to someone. My name is Richelle, a 33-year-old housewife. I have a 5-year-old daughter, my husband Milo, 2 years my senior, and I met through a friend's introduction. We married 6 years ago and were blessed with a child soon after, our daughter Shelley. She is just 5 years old now, at her cutest age. It's so cute, yet her fate was cruelly harsh. Shelley was frail 2 years ago. When she was 3, she began to have fevers and cool-downs repeatedly. She also had swelling in her neck, and thinking it might be mumps, we went to the hospital, where we were told, "You need to get tested at a larger hospital immediately." That's what the doctor told me. After various tests at the general hospital and waiting anxiously, the diagnosis was finally revealed: malignant lymphoma, a form of childhood cancer. My world went dark as I pleaded, "This must be a mistake, right, doctor? Tell me it's not true." Despite the presence of the doctor and nurses, I broke down in tears. Immediate hospitalization was necessary, and although we went home to gather essentials, I couldn't stop crying. My husband Milo, while shedding tears to himself, strongly encouraged me. "We need to stay strong. It's going to be okay. Shelley will get better," he said forcefully, and encouraged me. We were briefed about the illness and treatment, and I had to sign consent forms for blood transfusion and surgery. The tough treatments continued: IV trips, blood draws, blood transfusions, chemotherapy. I quit my part-time job to be with Shell at the hospital all the time. Milo occasionally took time off work to visit and would say, "Take a break sometimes, otherwise you'll collapse too, Michelle." When he took over the visits, I would take care of things at home or get some sleep to maintain my strength. For the first few days in the hospital, Shelley cried a lot. Gradually, as she got used to the hospital rhythm, she cried less. Nurses would praise her. "Shelley didn't cry at all today during her injection." I was praised. Despite hair loss and weakened condition due to the side effects of chemotherapy, she never complained and always smiled and was happy to see us. She loved drawing. "Dad, Mom, look." On a day we both visited, Shelley showed us a drawing of Milo and me in her sketchbook. "Shelley, it's really good," I said. Shelley, always talkative, would chat away in her hospital bed, giving us more strength. When her white blood cell count was low, she had to stay inside, a clean wall. But after about a month, as her blood count improved, she was allowed to go home for a few days. Shell said, "I want to go to preschool," so we visited for the first time in a while. Seeing Shell playing happily with her friends filled us with joy. When we got home, my mom came to visit. "Shelley, you're doing so well." Seeing Shelley being pampered and playful in Mom's arms, it seemed unbelievable that she was ill. "Mom, it smells like home." Shelley was smelling the scent of a towel blanket that had been drying at home for a few days. She was energetic, but then, "Mom, my head hurts." Shelley looked vacant and complained. "Let me see. Oh, you have a bit of a fever. Wait here. I'll make some soup." I put Shelley to bed and hurriedly finished the housework, then started making soup. At that moment, the doorbell rang. When I checked the monitor, it was Laurie. I regretted not ignoring it. "Laurie, what brings you here?" "Do I need a reason to visit my son's house?" I wanted to say, "Yes, you do," but I kept silent. Normally, I would have gladly welcomed a kind mother-in-law, but unfortunately, Milo's mom, Lori, was the last person I wanted to see. "What are your hobbies? Harassing my daughter-in-law?" I suppose that would probably be her reply. Since the beginning of our marriage, I have been continuously harassed by Lori, insulted for not having a higher education, for being tall and not cute enough. I was amazed at her ability to come up with such hurtful words. But when my father-in-law was alive, he played the role of a stopper, scolding her, which made things a bit bearable. After he passed away from illness in our second year of marriage, the harassment intensified. With no one to watch her, she wouldn't order steak for me at meals or suddenly turn off the hot water while I was showering. Just petty things like that. Milo has an older sister, Eliza, a successful career woman. Her husband, my brother-in-law, is a prosecutor, and Lori is proud of Eliza. She always compares me to Eliza, making snide remarks. Eliza has a son, Jace, in 2nd grade. When we visited for Christmas, the difference in how Lori treated Jace and Shelley was blatant. Even though Shelley is her granddaughter, does she not find her adorable just because she dislikes her daughter-in-law? As I was busy making soup, Lori barged in from next door. "Yes, Shelley has a fever. I thought if you don't have any business here, just leave. But then again, really, such a frail child. I wonder who she takes after. Certainly not our family. Your dad had cancer, right? Right? Lie? I've told you many times, this illness is not hereditary. Indeed, my dad passed away from cancer when I was in high school. However, malignant lymphoma is not hereditary except for certain virus-related cases. How many times do I have to explain the same thing? Is she senile?" In the end, Lori just glanced at Shelley, spewed her venom, and left. I wonder if it's dementia. In the end, I took a look at Shelley's face, said a few sarcastic comments, and left. What was her purpose? Just bored. Shelley spent a year alternating between living inside the clean walls and having a few days at home as her blood count improved. After about a year and a half in the hospital, she completed the planned treatment, and we were able to bring her home. She could go back to prep school, and we even went on a family outing to the aquarium. She was walking energetically. I never doubted that Shelley would recover. But a year after her discharge, when she turned 5, my worst fears came true. A relapse. The painful treatments continued. Spinal injections, radiation therapy, bouts of pneumonia, and high fevers. I massaged her swollen face and legs. I even underwent a bone marrow transplant for her, believing it would be enough. Sadly, my white blood cells didn't engraft, and her condition worsened. Then came the doctor's cruel words. "There's nothing more we can do." It meant more treatment would only burden Shelley's body. It was a prognosis of limited time. We decided to bring Shelley home and spend our last days happily together. We did everything Shelley wanted. She participated in the preschool sports day and played. Her bright smile made her friends laugh too. Mom visited many times. I had resolved never to cry in front of Shelley, but sometimes tears would escape during such moments. "Mom, what's wrong? Do you have a headache?" Despite her own pain, Shelley was such a caring child, worrying about me. I prayed for this happy time to last forever, for a miracle to happen, but my prayers were not answered. Though she looked healthy, I had to admit that her blood test results were definitely getting worse. Her condition was steadily progressing, and she could no longer walk. But we believed her 6th birthday was just around the corner. We were certain she would make it to that day. However, Shelley's condition rapidly deteriorated. She began to have difficulty breathing. "Please be prepared," the doctor said. I had decided not to cry, but I couldn't help it. In my dazed state of mind, I told Shelley, "I love you," and Shelley replied, "I love you too." Despite the difficulty in speaking, she mustered her strength to say her last words. As she became critical around 4 a.m. at dawn, desperate resuscitation efforts were made by the doctor. Shelley and we kept calling out as we had requested. Milo and I took turns holding her in our arms, wanting her to fall asleep there for the last time. Shelley fought hard, but she passed away. Shelley, respond. Open your eyes. The warmth of her hand I was holding quickly turned cold. I had no time to grieve as I was immediately caught up in funeral arrangements and preparations. It felt like I would lose my mind if I didn't keep busy. Arriving at the funeral home, "You're not coming to my words," she replied. "The living are more important than the dead. Eliza is coming back from abroad. It's her birthday today. You need to pick up the cake." I felt dizzy enough with your nonsense. I struggled to contain my anger. "At least bring a present later. You better come, or I won't forgive you." As if you're the one to forgive, I blocked Laurie's number and reached out to someone. Many people attended the funeral, coming to say their final goodbyes. Doctors from the hospital, press school friends, my friends, everyone cried for Shelley, which was heartwarming. We filled her coffin with her favorite sunflowers, and her friends placed letters inside. Milo did an admirable job as a representative of the bereaved family. Hours later, Milo and I stood in front of his parents' house. "Milo, help," Laurie pleaded as we entered. We ignored her and went into the living room. Eliza's family and a few relatives had gathered, and they were all glaring at Laurie. Eliza was the first to speak to us. "I'm so sorry, Rel. We had no idea today was Shelley's funeral." After blocking Laurie's call, I had phoned sister-in-law Eliza. Though harassed by Laurie and often compared to Eliza, I had a great relationship with Eliza, like real sisters. Being an only child, I cherished Eliza as a sister, and her son Jace often played with Shelley. Even after Shelley fell ill, Eliza frequently visited us, showing her concern. This year, Eliza had to travel abroad for work, and her return coinciding with her birthday overlapped with Shelley's funeral. We were busy and had previously asked Laurie to communicate with her side of the family, but foolishly, Laurie had told the relatives about a birthday party for Eliza's return, not about Shelley's funeral. Eliza, whom I had informed, was shocked that Laurie hadn't attended the funeral. Upon returning home, when Eliza contacted me again, the burial was already over, but they were waiting for our return. Shelley, Eliza among others, was mourning Shelley amidst everyone's cold stares. Laurie said, "You can always have another child." The worst possible words to say. Then, with a devilish glare, Eliza threw the cake prepared for her at Laurie's face. "Wash off that twisted personality of yours." She dragged Laurie to the shower room and doused her clothes and all. During this, when asked why Laurie had called, Laura was nagging me to hurry back for Eliza's birthday party preparations. I said weakly. The relatives were shocked and disgusted. Returning from the shower room, Laurie, completely drenched, was despised by everyone. "No, but it's Eliza's birthday party. She's returning after so long. Shelley was sick anyway, not expected to live long. Eliza's birthday is more important, right?" Laurie's excuse was met with, "My birthday party? What nonsense. Calling roll for that if Shelley was so important." How could you not understand Milo's grief over losing her? "Why didn't you attend your granddaughter Shelley's funeral?" Eliza furiously confronted her. "No, but..." Laurie, unable to think of an excuse, grew quieter. That's when Jace spoke up. "Grandma, you don't really love your grandchildren, do you?" To Jace's soft murmur, "That's not true. I love you, Jace. You're healthy and Eliza's child." "What's that supposed to mean?" Eliza demanded. "So, Shelley, my child, wasn't loved because she was ill and your daughter-in-law's daughter. The anger that had been shaking Milo finally erupted. No, but Shelley was Michelle's child, so I kept my distance. She was always sick and in bed, not fun at all. So Jace, Eliza's healthy child, is loved, but my daughter Shelley is not because she was frail. You're insane for prioritizing Shelley's birthday over attending her funeral. Have you lost your mind? These words came from Laurie's brother, my uncle-in-law, and his wife, my aunt-in-law. She's always been crazy. She harassed us when we got married, even tore my daughter's dress for her piano recital, added my uncle-in-law. No one at the scene stood by Laurie, who had become utterly diminished. We're leaving. Milo, Michelle. Let's talk again some other time. We exchanged deep hugs with my uncle and aunt-in-law. We'll be going too. Needless to say, Mom, we're cutting ties with you. Wait, Milo, I mean. I always got yelled at by you, who favor the successful CIS. Is that why you didn't care for Shelley, my child? It's not like that, Milo. You know you didn't study properly like Eliza, didn't listen, so you only care about those who do as you want, huh? Said Milo sadly. As I handed Laurie something beside him, it was a drawing of Laurie made by Shelley. In the picture, Laurie was smiling. Even though you didn't dote on Shelley, she admired you. I hated you and never saw a smile from you. But maybe Shelley saw you smiling like this. Shelley was a pure and kind child. Even during her treatment, she was more concerned about me. Perhaps in her eyes, she saw a kind Laurie. Laurie cried for the first time, clutching the drawing, but now it was too late. We're also leaving. I won't ever see Mom again, said Eliza. Wait, don't leave too. Ignoring Laurie's words, we all left the in-laws' house. Later, my uncle-in-law's family visited us. They'd first apologized for Laurie's behavior. After praying over Shelley's photo, they lightly spoke of Laurie. She seemed remorseful, holding Shelley's drawing, but the things she said and did couldn't be undone. As my aunt-in-law said, Laurie had always been troublesome. It's unlikely she'll change now. Following this incident, other relatives also decided to cut ties with Laurie. Despite her being so disliked, there was no room for sympathy. Her bizarre behavior over the years made it natural for everyone to distance themselves. She might end up alone, dying in loneliness, but she should live with her regrets. After the funeral, as the busy days passed and the procedures concluded, the loss of Shelley finally hit me. Temporarily blinded, I worried Milo greatly, and my mother had to stay with us for a while. I felt like losing my sanity. I wanted to be with Shelley, overwhelmed by despair. Could I have saved her if I'd taken her to the hospital sooner, been more attentive to her health? But I couldn't take my own life. Shelley fought till the end, breathing in and out in her dazed consciousness. She tried so hard to live. Gradually, I started to look forward. I joined a group for parents who lost children to the same illness, finding solace in talking and crying together. Communicating with Eliza and meeting her also became a relief. Milo and I adopted a puppy. The friendly puppy greets everyone on walks, wagging its tail. It feels like a reincarnation of our bright child, Shelley. Are you drawing in heaven, talking a lot, smiling? Someday I'll join you there. We'll meet again, so wait for me. But if a miracle happens, I want to see your smiling face once more. As Shelley's mother, I vow to live a life